Hi all, this is Ashish Kyal here. Welcome again to Elliott Wave News channel by Ashish Kyal Trading Gurukul, a learning series by wavestrategy.com. And I hope every one of you are doing fantastic in days of COVID when we are seeing so many people had the number of cases of COVID has been increasing day by day, with India recording the highest ever in history of mankind one day jump in the COVID cases. Now that's something very, very concerning. And despite of all of these things happening right now, we can clearly see that the markets have continued to go on the rise time and again, slowly and steadily. We are seeing that happening. So that has been a very, very interesting aspect. We are clearly seeing that the markets have continued to increase to the levels of 11,600, back to those levels. It went to around 11,794, crashed from there, sharply lower below 11,200 momentarily, and then now back above, inching higher. Thanks to one stock, I'm sure you are aware about it. Thanks to Reliance Industries, that has been the stock which has been responsible for the movement of the index as a whole. We can clearly see that happening in this week when Reliance was up by 7% yesterday. How many times does that happen? It's not very often we see such a huge jump in a market leader to such an extent. That clearly showcases it's an euphoria, not only limited to India. It's a euphoria which is witnessed not only in India but witnessed globally. And one classic example is Tesla stock. I've been talking about it for quite some time, and it has continued to rise despite of whatever has come in. And if you look at the price to earning ratio of Nifty, we are crossing that 33, 34 mark. This is an historical year, I suppose. 2020 is going to be known in history for multiple reasons. For COVID, yes, of course. For commodity prices like crude entering into the negative territory, this year is going to be known for, again, for the markets touching lifetime high levels in Nasdaq, that we can see S&P 500 in US, Nifty inching and crossing about that 80% retracement mark, all of those things. And apart from that, bank Nifty still struggling around that 50% retracement level. So it's going to be an historical year, and we can clearly see that happening over the past few weeks, the movement of the market. And it has been getting inclined more and more towards a few and a fewer stocks. If you look at the advanced decline ratio, you can clearly make out that the number of stocks that has been advancing has been reduced drastically compared to that of the declining. So when the fall happened, the decline came very sharply. 31st of August was a classic start of a very big trap on the upside from 11,794. If I remember it correctly, the markets crashed sharply lower on the downside back to that levels of 11,200 odd levels, and from there we inched higher. So that one day of movement was very sharp and fast, and we produced a huge amount of volume. So it seems like smart traders have dumped a big chunk of quantity around in that one day itself, like a huge dump has happened. So that's going to be very important level to keep a watch on. As long as that level is intact, I think we might again start moving in a very broad range, and that is what I am expecting the markets to be doing. It should start moving in a broad range. There is no clear trend. We clearly saw that this time there was a move below 11,390. It then breached that 11,290 levels also, but only to whipsaw around that and go back on the upside right now that we are seeing in the market. Many newbies are joining in the market. They are trying to evaluate. They say that there is only a one-way road and it has to go only up. But I am going to back to differ with them. When the opposite move starts, it's going to be sharp and fast. You are going to tell me I've been cautious for some time and nothing is happening. That's why I'm being cautious, right? If you remember, we have started being caution about more than a month back, and since then markets are where it was about 1.5 months back. If you go and check Nifty, it is still at the same exact level. That clearly showcased, even if you would have probably went long, you have lost money if you're an option trader. If you are a stock trader, you saw some serious carnage across the banking space. SBI crashed. We clearly saw Muthoot Finance crashing on the downside, iBulls crashing on the downside, NBFC stocks going down and then forming some base and now pulling up back again. So that clearly showcases how vulnerable the markets are. But you keep bothering about why I've been cautious, but look at it. It has actually paid off. And it's not just me. If you remember, we do the polling, and let's start the polling again for this week. and let us see where the markets are headed over short term. Shall we do the polling right now and check what is the Nifty overall trend for the coming week? Let us do that and check where is Nifty headed. And if on the market, on the YouTube live on YouTube, you can probably go and check what is happening to Nifty, and you can participate in the poll Nifty trend in the coming week. Is it up? Is it down? Where do you think the Nifty is going to be heading here? And you can participate on the live on YouTube. You can simply mention yes, up or down. So by up, we will understand that you are expecting the markets to be going up. By down, we think that you are expecting it to go down. So that is the very, very clear option. There shouldn't be any third option, Indrajit, because I don't think the third option is only going to confuse, and everyone will select the third option of sideways because no one knows where the trend is. So that's why we want a very clear sentiment analysis to be done and Nifty trend in the coming week. So keep participating. We are going to see some amazing outcome here. In fact, I did my polling even on the Telegram last week, and it came out exactly very similar to what we did over here on Friday at 4 webinar. It was amazing on the Telegram, AK Trading Gurukul. You can go and check that Telegram out. Even on Twitter, you can like us on Twitter at @KyalAshish. I keep tweeting about the Nifty direction in the morning itself as soon as it opens, so you can go and check that also. Okay, so it is a very interesting outcome. Last week, anyone remembers what was the trend for last week that we saw on the sentiment indicator? What was the trend? Anyone recollects what was the trend, Nifty trend in the coming week? What was it? Okay, it was down, but what was the percentage? Anyone remembers the percent of trend that we saw on the sentiment? 56% was down, is it? Okay, 64 was down. Yes, I recollect it correctly. 56 was up and 64 was down. This time there is little deviation, and let me share across. Let me end the poll. We are at 59% on the upside and 41% on the downside. So the polling suggests that we should be inching higher in 59% up and 41% on the downside. So that's a very, very interesting polling that we have it today. It's a very amazing thing. And let me just end that 59% up and 41% on the downside. Let me just share across that polling with you all, and you can clearly see that happening over here. So let me just save it across to you. I will also be posting it on my Twitter handle at @KyalAshish. So if you have not liked that Twitter handle, you can probably go and check that out as well. Before we move on, I would like to share across one thing with you all, which is Master of Cycles program is going to be there on 26th and 27th of September. And this is going to talk about Hus time cycles, Gann time cycles, square of 9 cycles, and multiple practical examples we will see. In the current market, if you are not able to, as I said last time also, if you're not able to time the market well, you will not be able to make money in this current market. So timing the market is extremely crucial, and I'm sure you should be able to do that very, very prudently. And for doing that, the Master of Cycles is for you. The early birds ends on 15th of September. If you want to register in the early bird, go to wavestrategy.com, simply click on this banner that you are seeing here. And once you do that, you will have all the details on what this program is going to cover. It's for home. Does not matter if you are a fresher, does not matter if you are coming for the first time, does not matter if you are already a mentee with me. You are going to learn something exceptional in this decades of research that I have done. I'm going to present it across to you, and why it is so important that we have to look at these time cycles so very, very closely. So keep looking at it. And the early bird offer is going to end on 15th. So ensure that you register before that by going through this page. Okay, let's move on further. And now let's start looking at what's happening with Nifty over the short span of time. How are we going to move from here on? And what is the overall trend of the Nifty that we are seeing right now? Okay, if I have to ask you one thing, what is the trend of Nifty? If you are looking at this chart, right now we saw in the last week, what was the discussion? What was the level of support that I talked about in the last webinar? If you remember, see, the entire intention is to everyone should be empowered and start doing technical analysis by themselves. The levels that we talked about was 11,111, 11,111, and that was the level that we talked about. So 11,290 was one of the support levels that got breached, but we still managed to maintain that 11,111 11, and that was maintained very clearly. If that is now still protected, what do you think is the market trend going to be over near term? I mean, what is the overall movement? Can I say that was a trap for the bears on the downside below 11,290? Below 11,290, will you agree with me that there was a trap on the downside for the bears, because it just momentarily breached that level and then again came back on the upside? Now this is the slower trend line support which remained protected in this down move. Also, the fall was not faster. It did not retrace yet that 11,111, which was the level. So this was the level that we talked about. It is a very crucial level. It had been a very important level. Can you see that happening? Let me just annotate it on the screen for you. And can you see that happening over here as well? Just give me a second. Okay. And if you are able to see my screen, I am going to be annotating it here. Just okay. Can you see this level right now at this zone? Isn't that amazing to see a very important level on a Nifty right at that level, where we can clearly see this was the low which was formed. Also, this was the low which was formed here before the market started the downtrend very sharply. So over here there was a low being formed, over here there was a low being formed, and then the gap with which it went. So this acted as a very important level. We can clearly see multiple supports being taken, and now also the price just managed to protect that level and bounce back on the upside. So the trend over here was definitely bearish. At least over short term, you got some move on the downside, lower high, lower low formation. But thanks to Reliance Industries, the stock was up by 7%, and that's resulted into a sharp up move over here. However, Bank Nifty has sharply underperformed in this scenario. So if you look at Bank Nifty has underperformed. So this is how we analyze the market. We look at the multiple aspects, multiple indices, and we try to understand what is the overall trend. So Bank Nifty has sharply underperformed. If you look at Bank Nifty, it has shown a very huge decline right from that 25,000 levels on the upside towards that low on the downside. We saw a very big decline. Now that's not a very promising sign. It indicates some kind of a very important move. Bank Nifty has been a lethargic index. It is only still at retracement of 38.2%. Can you see that on the chart? It is only at 38.2% retracement level on the chart, and we can clearly see Nifty around 76% retracement level. That shows how underperforming Bank Nifty had been. If you remember my free webinars, anyone attended that on Saturdays, I have talked Reliance is into a bull trend, and you shouldn't be catching a low in that stock for sure, because it has now started a fifth wave on the upside. Reliance Industries, I published that research report in the morning yesterday itself in the daily research report, and it has started a fifth on the upside. Now that's a very amazing move that we have seen in the form of an Elliott wave pattern on Reliance Industries. This is a fifth wave, mind you, and post fifth completion we will start seeing some correction happening, but that's a fifth wave. That's a very interesting thing. I'm going to be also conducting a free webinar tomorrow at 5, and I'll be launching a poll to ask if you are interested. You can join in that free webinar for and it's going to be right from the very basic of what is a chart, how to look at a chart, how to plot it, what type of price action area you need to look at, and the time cycles. Little bit on time cycles, not much, but it's going to be basic. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about it in a much detailed fashion at 5. So I want you to be there at 5 tomorrow. I'm sure you will be enjoying that session, but we will do that. And before I move on, I think I will have to stop sharing this result on the screen, and just give me 1 second, and I'll be also going to ask you, what do you think is the Bank Nifty trend here? So far I've been talking about Nifty trend, but if I have to ask you, what is the Bank Nifty trend that you see it on my chart right now? Where do you think is Bank Nifty headed from here on? What is the trend? Bank Nifty, is it up or is it down, or is it, do you think pullback should be used for shorting opportunity in Bank Nifty? Don't you see that Bank Nifty had been an underperformer, and if banking stocks cannot do well in this kind of a market scenario, where is the bull market everyone is talking about? I've been constantly saying this is a bear market rally. This is wave B, and once it ends, wave C will start on the downside. Bank Nifty is clearly suggesting that. It is an overlapping move. There is no impulsive, there is no strength. And look at the carnage we saw in just 4 days of time in Bank Nifty stocks, PSU stocks. You can clearly see a carnage. Even in Axis Bank, you saw that happening. So look at this chart very carefully and try to see, are you seeing any kind of a rhythm in this chart? Do you see the number of the blue and the red candles? What do you see over here? Take your time and try to look at it. Understand the pulse of the market. It's very important for you to develop the context of the market if you want to trade. Not every pattern is going to work. Even the head and shoulder patterns are failing this time. It's just whipsawing. But if you understand the overall context of the market, you know how much you have to leverage in each of these occasions. Can you see that? Okay, just give me a second. Okay, and if you are able to understand this very clearly, you will appreciate the fact that it's always better to be cautious rather than complacent. I have been talking about it in my monthly research, which is lately published, and it has done fabulous. I published it 2 days back, mentioning why you it is always better to be cautious than it is better to be complacent. Okay, that's a very important thing that you need to understand it, because if you are not cautious in this market, you are going to burn your fingers, and many people have been able to do that because they are entering the markets lately and they think that it is easy machine to make money. It's not an easy business. It requires a lot of attention to prices. So if I look at this Bank Nifty chart, can I very clearly say that it has still not closed above the prior day's high? One simple technique in Bank Nifty, if you are looking at this chart very closely, and if you look at this, not a single day we have closed above the prior day's high. Even this doji was formed, did not close above the high. Today also we have not closed above the high. That clearly suggests that Bank Nifty has something fishy right now. Let's go on a weekly chart of Bank Nifty and check that. Can I say it has closed below the prior week's low? So Bank Nifty is not sending across a very promising sign, and daily chart is not sending a promising sign against Nifty chart, which is showing that there is some kind of a positivity. But look at the overall trend of Nifty. It is slowing down. If you are looking at this specific, can I look at this RSI and can I say that we are now into that reversal zone of around 68 level on RSI? I'm not telling that 60 is an important level on RSI or 50 is an important level or 30 is an important level. What I'm suggesting is that wherever the resistance is, that is an important level. And that is how you have to look at RSI. I don't buy the story of 60 and 30. It does not work, or 60 and 40. There are no magical numbers. You need to derive these numbers, which we do in Master of Technical Analysis program. So we do that, and people keep talking about how RSI has to be traded. That's a foolish thing to do because you are trading prices and not RSI. RSI is a confirmation indicator. Use it that way. Keep it that way. Keep it simple. Now let us look at the daily chart. Can I clearly say on the daily chart, if Nifty continues to inch higher and RSI moves here, we might start seeing a very strong negative divergence. If you look at an ROC, rate of change, and apply a parameter of 27, I'm not going to talk about why 27, it's all about cycles. A parameter of an ROC is decided by time cycles. Can you beat that? Yes, that is the fact. So if you look at time cycles and decide the parameter, you will know that which ROC to be used. Are you aware about that concept of ROC? The parameter is not magical number of 14 or 25 or 30. You need to derive that parameter using cyclical analysis, which we will be doing in the MOC on 26th and 27th of September. So if you look at ROC, I'm not plotting it right now, you will see multiple divergence. In fact, in my latest monthly research, I published an indicator known as KST, which is Know Sure Thing. It's by Martin Pring. He's my mentor. It's by Martin Pring, and he has clearly explained that indicator. It is multiple cycles combined together. That's a classic indicator, and it is showing a strong move on the downside in the indicator, not the prices yet. I'm not bearish yet. Trust me on that. I expected a down move which went down, and I was riding the downside on the short side. but given the move yesterday, I covered it up. Now I am looking at another opportunity to enter the short once a big trend is confirmation is obtained. If the KST indicator is no sure thing, KNOW, which is no sure thing, it indicates that the cycles, multiple cycles have topped out. That same thing happened in the scenario on the left hand side in this phase. That was what has happened. And the same thing we are seeing right now, which means that I am looking at this market as a distribution. So this was a distribution. We have entered into a distribution phase over here, and we can clearly see. Are you able to relate it to what I am showing to you right now? Are you able to relate these two things, or is it just me? Can you see that for multiple months together, the markets continue to move and drag in a range? And can you see the same scenario happening over here? It's an amazing. Mahesh, you can get access to the monthly. In that, I mentioned the KST multiple cycle no sure thing. It's an amazing study. You can clearly see how interesting it is. And we are here right now. If I have to tell you the level of here, the high which was made was 11,317 on 28th of July. As I said, it has been more than 1.5 months and we are still around that zone. The same level is being seen in this zone right now. That clearly suggests that the markets have not gone anywhere else. That's the thing that you are seeing is, and that's a very important observation that you can make it on the chart. So these are known as simple observations of patterns. These are no textbook patterns. Textbook patterns are no longer working. If I have to ask you one simple question, how many of you saw a head and shoulder pattern or a simple triangle pattern and it fails? How many times do you think it is happening in recent occasions? Because the textbook patterns have stopped working altogether. Forget about the indicators. The patterns itself are failing again and again on the on all of those sides. Okay, that's very, very interesting. Can you see that happening? And that is why I'm telling you that you need to identify newer patterns that the markets are forming. Newer patterns that the markets are forming. And these are the patterns that the markets are forming right now. Okay, this is what I am talking about. I'm still saying 11,111 is a very important level that you have to keep a watch on. And once that level is broken on the downside, the bigger trend might start. But right now the markets are again buy on dips. It has shifted again from the sell on rallies to buy on dips because this movement has been taken out. However, the word of caution again is Bank Nifty. The Bank Nifty has continued to be a major laggard. So I am keeping a close watch. If Bank Nifty can try and catch up back towards 23,500, one important trend line support on Bank Nifty is coming around this zone. So I am keeping a close watch on that level. So if you draw this trend line, this is the support zone on Bank Nifty. We can clearly see a very important support on Bank Nifty right from this level over here. If you look at it, if you look at this, and look at this. So this is a very important zone for Bank Nifty right now, and it is also a 38.2% retracement. So you keep a watch on this level. If you remember, I have been talking about Bank and these levels I have talked about even on Bank Nifty and Bank on, it has stopped exactly at that level, and is trying to consolidate. Let us see on Monday if Bank Nifty can manage to move higher and manage the index to take higher, or is it just Reliance to do all the heavyweight lifting even now? So that's a very important aspect that we have to keep a watch on. From wave perspective, I think the markets might have completed another wave X. That's one of the possibility, that this move on the downside was nothing but another wave X. So that's one of the possibility that I'm keeping a watch on. The other possibility that I'm not ruling that out very clearly was that this can be an A, this was a B, a C here, maybe a D, and this can be an E of a extracting or a neutral triangle pattern, which looks like an HNS. So we are keeping a close watch on how far this up move can go from here on. If it can manage to cross about this high, then it's a different scenario. But I have my doubts because this high was formed with a huge volume on the downside, and the markets are going to have some serious problem if Reliance has to do only the heavy lifting to take it higher from there on. We can already see the banking on the downside. So keep a watch on 11,794. I know that's a far away level, but that is a very important level. And 11,111 is the level. So the question to you might be, what is the trend in the near term? If I'm going on an hourly chart, I think we will be stuck in a range. So let me go on an hourly chart and look at Nifty and what is the overall trend. Also understand this is a free webinar only for educational purpose. For any, I'm not recommending anything here. For that, you will have to possibly get access to the daily morning research report, the financial wave short-term update, in which I am going to mention all the crucial levels and the support. So if you are looking at this and you are trying to possibly look at this, you can clearly see this fall was in an overlapping triangular fashion. On the hourly chart, you can see that happening. A move on the downside on Nifty was in a triangular pattern. This is a running triangle is what I can see that happen. In a running triangle pattern, we are breaking that above. So there is a possibility we had an A here, a B here, a C here. This can be a possibility, and this will be E provided we do not go above this zone. So this is a very important level I'm going to be keeping a watch on, and you need to ensure that you also keep a watch on this specific level that we are discussing here in this webinar. So before I move on and conclude the webinar, the overall trend I think for Nifty is going to be sideways. It's going to be range bound is what I think the webinar, sorry, it's what I think is going to be. Hemant is saying, you seriously do not leave anything even on free webinar. You rock. Thanks, Hemant. Really appreciate, because that is what keeps me moving and helping me to give across whatever I can, even in the if it is a free webinar. So you need to ensure that you keep talking about whatever we are doing. Start sharing across the YouTube video at the rate Kyal Ashish. This is available there. Share it across and subscribe to the YouTube channel and keep getting the alerts. Before I move on, I would like to understand, and I'm launching a poll. Will you be interested to attend Trade Futures and Options Tomorrow webinar? It's a free webinar at 5 p.m. Will you be interested to attend that? I've just opened up the polling, and I want to know, will you be interested to attend that webinar? Okay, will you be interested? As per your daily data you just provided, it looks like cruelest October. You will go dead right this time too. Let's just see, Mitali. I think yes, but I'm waiting for prices. Time is a very amazing component, but very dynamic. Prices is important, so we have to see that yet. So price is going to be crucial. So you can go and register at the rate Kailashish on the YouTube. And if you want to, yes, I can see most of you have voted that. So I will ensure to send across invite to each one of you for tomorrow. You ensure you attend that webinar tomorrow. I'm going to start right from the very scratch. What is a chart? How to look at the chart? What is a square chart? Why? What is a bar chart? Simple bar techniques that you have to look at it. What is a price action area? Reversal areas that you have to understand by looking at simple price, no patterns. Price action area I'm going to talk about, because patterns are no longer working. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So you ensure you attend if you register, if we register, because we have limited seats only. So you have to ensure you do that. And okay, let me just want to understand another thing. Will you be interested in attending the Master of Cycles program on 26th and 27th? I've launched a poll. I want a complete information here, because then we are keeping a very limited seat. This webinar on Master of Cycle will not be repeated until March 2021, and it's not going to be available to anyone else. So it's a very unique webinar, very unique 2 days of training that I'm going to conduct on Master of Cycles. So if you are interested, you ensure that you will be there with me on that Master of Cycles program. So just do that. I'm opened up the polling for you, and if you are on YouTube, you can simply say yes, and my team can get in touch with you, or you can drop your number there, and my team can call you and get in touch with you to give you all the information about Master of Cycles. You can go to wavestrategy.com and get the information from there as well. Okay, fantastic. So it is a very interesting week. A lot of volatility on the either side of the trend, but a lot of whipsaws happening around. So you can clearly see the markets have whipsawed across the place, not giving any clear trending direction. If you are short, you lost money maybe but if you are short early on, you would have probably made something and get out of it. But if you are long, you definitely lost a lot of money in this down move of past 1 week that we saw, especially in the banking space. And this clearly suggests that this market, you have to trade with a strict stop loss. If you don't do that, you are going to be in for some kind of a challenge. Okay. Great. So I'm just ending the poll here on Master of Learnings, Master of Cycles, and I'm going to see you over there. Mahesh has already registered. Mahesh, it's always glad to get you people on board. Absolutely fabulous to see Mahesh there on the Master of Cycles. Great to see you there. I will be interested. Uh, so, okay, Vishal has some doubts. Okay, my team will get in touch with you, Vishal. No problem on that. I'm ending a poll right now, and everyone has participated here. So I've just sent a poll, and I think we are going to be in a very interesting scenario in the coming week. Okay, to conclude that we are in a very interesting phase of the market. Time to be cautious. As always, I am cautious since past 1.5 months, and you can see what has market done in that 1.5 months. But if you still super bullish, best of luck to you. Will Nifty cross 11,794 again? I have my doubts. Maybe we are going to be in a range bound market. Buy on dips, sell on rise. That's the market we are into, and keep trading using small risk and small profits, because currently the markets are not giving rewarding the big trends. But once the big trend starts, you ensure you ride it. And we are going to discuss that in the mentorship batch. Okay, let me just again initiate a poll. Will you be interested in mentorship November batch? My team said I need to understand that also. So the November mentorship batch starts in November. The existing one is going on fabulous, and it's going to be very interesting. Will you be interested in the November mentorship batch? If yes, you can simply participate. It's a 3 months of program that we are going to conduct in the November. Okay, and that's going to be very, very interesting to see. Are you with me? Are you able to understand the market movement on Friday at 4 webinar that we are doing? If yes, then give a big thumbs up, and it's going to be doing that. Okay, and that's a fabulous thing. Great. So this webinar is helping each one of you, and I can see that very, very clearly happening. Thanks. Great to see Subhash, you also to be there. And it is useful for even the mentees who are attending the mentorship program. And that's fabulous. Thank you very much, guys. And I'm just ending this poll, and really glad to see each one of you here at Friday at 4, and do attend tomorrow at 5 on how to plot a chart and how to look at it and how to go about it. Thank you very much. Really appreciate. Have a wonderful, safe weekend, and stay safe, stay inside. I'm here, by the way, at Cloud9 Resort in Lonavala, and it's fabulous weather. We are seeing an amazing move. I'm talking about markets, even in the nature. We are seeing amazing weather here, and it's a fabulous place. So that's an amazing thing over here. Okay, great. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful time, and see you. Maybe we will do some sessions here in Cloud9 Lonavala sometime once the COVID situation relaxes a bit. We will do it over here. Thank you very much.